Welcome back to another edition of LAMBZY's Realistic FC 25 sliders. It's been a long time coming. This one, I've not uploaded a sliders video in quite some time. But I am now ready, finally, to share what's going to be, version 9 of my realistic slider set. Now, a couple things before we get into the sliders themselves. Firstly, the standard set that I'll be going through here today is still designed for use on manual controls rather than assisted. It is still designed for use on legendary difficulty. However, it's designed for use on 5-minute halves. This is a significant departure from the slider sets I usually put out, which are designed for 10-minute halves. I had to make some changes to the format for my career mode series videos, and we are using 5-minute halves to accommodate those changes. However, if you do want to play longer halves, or if you do want to play on assisted controls rather than manual, stay tuned until the end of the video, and I'll show you some slight tweaks that you can make to the standard set to accommodate that. As for the sliders themselves, if you've been following the updates for my slider sets, you're going to see a lot of similarities here to previous sets, but there are some slight changes, particularly to address the shorter halves. But we have sprint speed currently at 34, and we have acceleration currently at 50 for both the user and the CPU. So ideally, at this stage of the game cycle, we do have the acceleration the same value for both the user and the CPU. We've been giving the user a slight bump to acceleration, usually a +2 discrepancy at various points throughout the year. But at this point in the game cycle, after the most recent updates, we can have these values not only the same, but both at 50. As soon as you start to drop this below 50, you do start to see some issues in defensive integrity, players not challenging for the ball when they should be, and these kinds of things. So it's ideal that we can have it at 50 at this point. And with the sprint speed down at 34, the game doesn't feel too quick. Shot error is at 45 for the user and at 48 for the CPU. Pass error is at 5 for the user and at 45 for the CPU. So again, these sliders are designed for use with manual controls, which is why the pass error is so low. If you're using assisted controls, again, stay tuned to the end of the video. This value is going to be significantly different. Shot speed we have at 46 for the user and 34 for the CPU. Pass speed is at 40 and 34. Injury frequency is currently at 88, and then severity at 35. I've tried bumping the frequency up slightly, just to 90, but then you start to see an injury at least every single game, if not 2, maybe even 3 injuries per game. I feel like on 88, it's slightly too low. You don't quite get enough injuries. However, with these values, you will at least see a variety of injuries. There aren't quite as many as I would prefer. You tend to only lose 1 or 2 players at any given time, whereas as we see in real life, teams can just experience a rash of injuries and half their first team is out sidelined. I'd like to be able to incorporate that in my career modes. I can't find the perfect balance. 89, I guess, is halfway between 88 and 90, but 88 and 35 is currently where we have it. Goalkeeper ability is at 68 for the user and 38 for the CPU. Marking has come down slightly to 60 for both the user and the CPU. Run frequency, because we are on 5-minute halves, is up at 75 for the user and 99 for the CPU. So because we are using condensed halves, shorter halves at this point, we do need the run frequency to be slightly higher so that we can create a realistic number of opportunities per game for each side. We do have some fairly significant changes to the shape of the game from the previous version 8. So line height is currently all the way up at 80. We've reduced the line length, though, to keep the game compact. We don't want the forward line to be too high up the pitch and then the midfield and the defense getting stretched. So we've brought the line length down to accommodate that. So 80 for the line height, 32 for the line length, and then squeezing it slightly from the sidelines, 48 for the line width for both the user and the CPU. User fullbacks tend to drift a little too far forward. So as usual, we have brought the fullback positioning just for the user down to 25. The CPU stays at 50. Power bar is entirely personal preference. I'm currently really enjoying it at 50. And then first touch control error, very, very common values for me in particular. I like to have the user at 5 and the CPU at 99. I've explained this at length in previous videos. Go and watch those if you would like to hear a more detailed explanation of why these values are what they are. As for the CPU sliders, we currently have tackle aggression at 62, We have build-up speed at 50, but again, this is for 5-minute halves. If you like to play 10-minute halves, stay tuned to the end of the video. This slider value will be slightly different. Shot frequency is at 60. First touch pass at 55. Crossing frequency is currently at 58. Dribble frequency has been raised significantly to 60. And then skill move frequency just stays at the default 50. I will put all of these values in the description down below, but here is the full set in its entirety if you would like to pause the video here and input them into your menu. Just to repeat once again, this set is designed for use on legendary difficulty, on 5-minute halves, and with full manual controls. However, as I said, if you like to play on longer halves, something in the 8 to 10-minute range, I do have a set for you as well. So here are some slight tweaks to the slider set that you can make to accommodate a slightly slower game with a slightly longer half length. And the same if you prefer to play with the assists on rather than with manual controls. Here are some slight changes you can make to the set to accommodate that change. These are the sliders that I'll be using in every episode of my realistic Luton Town rebuild, which will be dropping on the channel shortly, so make sure you check that out when it does. But that'll do it for this one. Hope to see you in the next one. Take it easy.